Hey, what's going on guys? Mark back on Mark's Aquatics. I thought I'd give you a little update on this little nano tank from Fluval, the Fluval Evo 52 litre. And we've got a little bit of hair algae now growing on the bottom there. I'm not going to say it's all going to be a walk in the park keeping these tanks, but I'm going to take you through the do's and the don'ts, the good, the bad and the uglies. And we've got some little uglies in there at the moment in the form, if you look on the back glass there, little flatworms which come in on the corals. You can dip them, you can laser them, bleach them, you won't get rid of these things. They come in as tiny little things and they can hide away deep inside the rock and then they'll come out. But it's easy to get rid of these guys. Now what I tend to do, I don't use chemicals in these tanks whatsoever, but what I'll use is this little siphoning outfit which I've made up here, which is a piece of airline, and it goes down to a little plastic, like a little pipette head there, which I cut a very small hole in the end. And I basically just siphon these little guys out, okay? And you can see a few on the front of the glass, just right in the middle of the screen there. They'll live off the light and they can breed prolifically if not kept in check. You can get another, I think this is stuff called flatworm exit or something it's called, but it breaks their bodies down, but it makes them release tons of slime. And I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if you've got a big tank, or any sort of tank to be honest, and you want to try this out, you can do. But you'll see them, if you look on the rocks, you'll see these little guys hiding everywhere. I've got to get rid of that appendages in the middle of the screen as well. I've got some Joe's juice for that. So we're going to do him as well on this video. Get rid of that guy. There was a couple at the top there. I'm not sure if you saw the last video. We got rid of those as well. And we're going to have a little bit of a clean up. Now I've got the power head which is up there. Okay, and I've got the obviously the outlet for the pump here and here, one blowing down the back and one blowing on the forwards. But that is what that's done, is that's created a little spot there where the detritus is just pooling up in there. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably just scrape that piece of that gravel out and then put a little bit more of extra gravel in just to get rid of that stuff. It's very simple to do. You can just vac it straight out if you like, just that area, and then replace it with some later on. But it's looking great so far, really coming on well. So I think this is week 4, I think it is. And like I said, we've already got some lovely coralline algae on that duckbill there on the return. But you can see these little brown little flatworms all over the place there. And we're going to suck some of these out. But what you don't want to be sucking out is the little white copepods that you see screaming around on the glass there, because they're beneficial. Okay, so you can see how many baby ones are on that side. There's absolutely thousands of them because there's nothing in this tank to predate on them. So I know my little mate, little Pete down there, he tries to catch them, but they're a bit too quick for him. But what we're going to do is, you can see I've added a few more corals as well from I put a nice little bit of acro up there as well. We've got some platin Monty, different pieces there which I've stuck in, and we'll give them a go. The pulsing Xenia there is pulsing away lovely. Look at that, absolutely stunning, that stuff. And that's going to spread slowly over the top of the stone. It can get a little bit out of control, but I find if you keep it right in the middle and at the top, it'll stay quite compact and grow slower. The lower it is and the lower light conditions, it tends to get quite stringy and long and less flow as well. So try it. You can put it away, like I say, anywhere you like, but I just wanted to keep that little corner of it there. We've got some nice macroalgae as well growing there, some little grape, and what else is there? Oh, I can't remember the name of that one off the top of my head, but there's some like little sea lettuces and things growing in there as well, which is nice. A nice little addition. We've got a little bit of hair algae growing there, but my hermit crab slowly makes his rounds, and when he comes across these, he'll rip it all out and eat it. So that's a fine job for him. But well, there you go guys, the lawnmower has just started his little engine up and he's off. He's going to get rid of this hair algae in no time at all. Look at that, he's off. I can see bits of it floating around in the tank, and he's off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start this little siphon up, and then hopefully with one hand siphon some of these things out and just let you see them going up the tube. And then what we can do is get rid of that gravel. And basically I'm going to do this in conjunction with the water change as well. So the water that's coming out, hello mate, the water that's coming out is going to be thrown away with all those horrible flatworms in, and then we're going to put a nice bucket of fresh seawater back in. Right, now I'm going to attempt, now I've got the siphon going, and I'll just put it on the back of the glass there, and you just basically slowly move it towards them. These things aren't going to go running away, so they just literally sit there and they feed off the light, and there you go, look, and you just suck them straight up, and it's great fun. So you can just go around picking up these little flatworms and siphon them straight out. Like I said, they can breed quite prolifically if left untouched, but like I said, it's the they'll come in on different corals you put in there, various different things that you put in there. Now you can start off with complete dead rock and cycle it that way, and then you can put your corals in and you're going to get a lot of these bugs coming in on the corals as well. And even if you dip them, odds are you're going to get a few of these little guys which are going to escape into the into your aquarium, and then they can slowly breed afterwards. So and then you're going to wonder how they come in, and it's the live rock and the different things that they've come in on. But we're getting these guys quite quickly. There's a few at the back of that gone. Try not to hit the Gogonian there. But every time you do a water change, if you do this and you take them out, you can make one of these little siphons. Very, very simple to make, and you can just hoover them up. And like I said, it's great fun to do it. And look at that, already we've cleaned them up, and with a nano tank it's brilliant because you get them so quickly, and you can go all over the rocks as well. So I'm going to do that when I've done them all, suck them all up the tube. I'll get back to you, okay? Right, okay guys, that's ruined their weekend. So they're all now in the bucket. You can see there's all sorts of bits and bobs in there, some little bits of gravel in there as well, which I've just picked out from the substrate there with my tongs. I just go down there and lift out the worst of it and just take it out and then put it in a bucket. Like I said, I don't hoover the gravel because I don't want to remove all those beneficial little copepods that are hiding in amongst it, which also do a great job as well for the tank. So we've left those in there, and you'll see quite a lot of little slime trails coming out catching the detritus, because what I generally do is just go through the media with the tongs, just loosening it up, and that releases all the debris which is trapped in between it up into the water column, and the little tube worms then release some little slime trails then which grip onto the bits into the water column, and then they'll drag that back in and feed on that. Some people don't like the little tube worms in there. I don't find them at all harmful. Some people say they can spike or tear other corals because they get quite sharp, but I've never had it in all my years of keeping corals, and doesn't seem to worry them at all. If it's in a high flow area, sometimes you could get a soft bubble coral or something like that, might get punctured by one, so you might just have to snap it off, or you could put a little bit of that Joe's juice in the end, or a little bit of super glue, just block the hole up, and that will get rid of that little chap, and he won't be any more of a problem. But I tend to just leave them in there. Now obviously we're going to clean the filter out on this little run as well. We didn't do it on the last video, but this video this is the first time we're going to be cleaning the filter out. Now obviously we don't want to be cleaning it in the same water as those flatworms, so discard that water with the flatworms, get rid of that, rinse your bucket out with some hot water, and then we're going to come back, we're going to take the sponge out. But first of all, I've just turned on the pump again, I've turned on everything, circulation's going again, and stirred the gravel up just to get that detritus loosened up, so it's going to get sucked into the filter before we clean it out. Then we can drain some of the water out and then refill it again up with some fresh water, and then we can press play and get it all going again. Oh, and I forgot to say as well, I've got a lovely piece of green star polyp there. Look at that, the old green star polyps, my little turbo there hiding away under it, and I'll do a little bit of photo hyperlapse on that as well for you. Now another thing I do as well is use the old turkey baster. Just go in, blow all the air out, and then just very lightly puff away, and that will dislodge any debris which is stuck in amongst the rocks. As you can see, it's all coming out, and it will go into the water column, and it's all going to get siphoned out before we do our water change. You see, you can see it's all getting blown out through the holes in the live rock there. Don't go too hard with the turkey baster, but you can see there's quite a lot of debris being loosened up there, and that will move it all out. And you just leave the skimmer going then for an hour or so, let it all clean out again. And it'll blow all those little trails away from those worms as well. Look at that lot. It's amazing. Even with a flow like this, you'll still get quite a lot of debris build up. But the good thing is it goes all around the tank, and there's lots of like bacteria and amongst all this stuff, and that will feed your corals as well. As you can see, that Gagonian's still out. You'll be feeding on all this, and you can keep it suspended in the water for a little bit like this, and it'll all get siphoned out, and then we're going to clean the filter out. Okay. There you go, guys, already with that detritus in the water. You can see that little pulsing xenia there, which is closing up and not pulsing as much, and it's trapping little particles in amongst those little feathery fronds, and you'll be feeding away. As with the GSP as well, and some of the zoas have closed up as well because they're catching bits out of the water as well. And you'll find everything when you stir it up, it's just like in the wild when you have a bit of a storm and everything gets kicked up in the water, and everything will have a bit of a feed, and then when it calms down again, everything comes out and starts enjoying life again. As you see, the big finger coral at the top there is just about to shed it's tightened up quite a lot, and that means basically what they do is once a month, I would say, they'll close up. They get smaller and smaller like my fist, they get really tight, then suddenly they'll expand again, and you'll see all this like tissue. They actually shed a layer off of themselves, and that's where the turkey baster will come in handy as well. You can just put that in there like so, like that, and just puff away, and that'll blow that dead skin off. And they shed that because they get algae and different creatures and things try to colonize on them, because they're sessile invertebrates, which means they're static. They stay where they're put or where they grow, and they've got to have some ways of casting off that old skin, just like a snake does, and gets rid of any parasites and things on its skin. It'll just shed it off. Alright guys, that's cleared up enough now. So what I'm going to do now is, if we go above the tank, I'm just going to turn that power head off. I do love looking at tanks from above, they look so nice. It's a totally different view, and the colours seem a lot different if you're not having to look through the glass. Now I'm just going to find the pump for that skimmer and the return pump. We've got to turn all those off again. There you go, it's probably gone a little bit quieter now, those hums have gone, but look at that. Not even a month old, and we've got a little bit of growth in that Monty already along that, around the edge of the lip, if you see there. But now what we're going to do, we're going to take this filter out, which if you've not got one of these at Levos, I'm sorry it's a little bit dark here, but we just slide that little sponge out. Okay, and we can put that then in that bucket. Now, as you can see, we've got some ceramic media in there as well, which I'm going to swap out, and I think I'm going to put some biohome in there. I've got some biohome left, and I won't need to put it into that sack because I've got some of the biohome ultimate, which I can stack in those little holes, and I've got the carbon there as well. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put biohome in each of these, and then I'm going to make up another little bag of carbon and put that in another, just above it or below it. There's another little section below it I can put stuff in. And also we're going to put some Rofos in there, some Roa Phos. which is going to bring any phosphate levels down as well. You can see that now, that sediment just in the water. But that's what we're going to do. So we're going to grab some of this stuff and then we'll put this back together. Right, okay guys, oh, mind my fancy little paperweight there, which I used to hold my towel in. Now this is the ceramic media that you get with the Fluval Evo, and a little bag of carbon. Now they obviously sell all this stuff. Oh, my towel's ruined. But what I'm going to put in there is some of this Biohome gravel, and Richard sells it on filterpro.uk, www.filterpro.co.uk, and I'm going to put some of that in there. They come in these little mesh bags. I think he sells all this stuff, but that is going to fit down the side of the tank. It's dark at there, but there's a little reservoir at the back which is hard to see at the top. I might be able to show you with my torch actually. But you see that little lip there in amongst that detritusy water? There's like a little half moon there. Now that's where the sponge filter sits on. There's a little void just below that, which then goes into the other chamber for the return pump. Okay, so we're going to put that bag straight down into there, and then we're going to slide that sponge back down onto the top. Okay, that's the game plan. Right, okay guys, I've just drained down some of the water. Don't worry about if some of the corals stick out the water a little bit, it's not going to harm them. That finger coral there is just slumped over a bit, the Gagonian's stuck out there, but you're not going to be out there for long. Now I've got the sponge filter there, so we're going to pump that out in the water just to release all the debris that's in there and get all that flushed out. Okay, and then we can load it up with this Biohome Ultimate. So I'm going to load it up and then get back to you. There you go guys, we're all packed in there nice. Now we get a double layer all the way through there, and they fit absolutely spot on through there. Look at that. I'll probably even get another one in that hole there. I'll just grab another one now. Look at that, spot on. So we've got a layer of that, a double layer all the way through. The water's going to flow through that and colonize with bacteria absolutely wonderfully. So, and don't forget, don't throw out your old bag. Throw the old bag of carbon out, okay guys, but the bag of media that came with the tank itself, a little bag of ceramic balls, that's already colonated with bacteria. So I've just popped it back in there with that bag of biogravel as well. So we've got even more filtration in there. Now with that top hole here, what I'm going to do, hello Lemon, hello mate, what are you doing? Yeah, folks haven't seen you for a long time. He's a big lad now, look at that. You've grown, haven't you? You've been scrapping again. You've got scratches all over your face. Look. Scrapping with next door's cat. Right, Roa Phos. Now this is a phosphate remover, okay, and obviously with live rock, with all the different things in there, you're going to get phosphate, and this is going to take it out. And so what we're going to do is, on Richard's website, if you go there as well, he sells these filter pads. Now with Roa, you can have it obviously in a bag, you can put it in the back, or you can put it in a fluidized bed filter, which is like a tumbling reactor chamber, which I've got in my coral room. I can show you that on another episode. But he sells these as well. Now I'm going to cut out a small piece, and what we're going to do is we're going to wrap some of this Roa Phos inside it. I'll show you how to do that when I've got it all cut to size, okay? Right, basically what I do there is I'm not making a roll up, but I just basically put it in there, and then what I'll do is I'll roll that over, okay, and then sandwich that in, make a ball like that, but I'll need two hands again, and I'm just going to put that in there like that. Right, okay, there you go. So we got our Roa Phos buried inside there. We got our Biohome Ultimate in there now, so that is going to go through there, get sucked through all those layers, okay, then through obviously the other stuff which we've hidden in that little compartment at the back there, okay, and then we're going to have some super filtration going on, okay, and cleaning power. So I'll put it all back together now, fill it up with water. Ah, well, there you go guys, we've got a nicely freshly cleaned up little tank, and everything's looking just the job. As you can see now, all at the back, the copepods have come back out again, minus those horrible little flatworms that we get hitchhiking in on our little corals, and we buy them from the shops. Now the reason why we get rid of these little flatworms is they're, like I said, they're prolific breeders, and what they'll do is they will actually, because they're light photosynthetic as well. They live off the light as well. Okay, that's why they spread out in these little wings that they push out, if you saw them earlier, and they will actually feed off the light as well. So this is how they can grow out of control from your light, you see. So they'll be all over the rocks, in the rocks, and what they've got a habit of doing is actually smothering corals for light, because they're after the light as well. So if you've got a very, very heavily like, as I would say, planted tank full of corals, they will actually cover the mantles and all the different types and parts of the coral, and they'll be after their light. So they'll sit on top of them, and they'll deprive them of light, so they won't do so well. So that's the only reason. They don't do any other harm apart from that. They're unsightly. They can, like I say, breed very quickly. So we just get rid of them as and when we can. And I tend to use that little pipette that I've made, or something similar. Even a turkey baster, you can go in there and suck them out if you see them, and then just shoot them out into another bucket and get rid of them that way. Okay. Now the little bit of algae that we have left in and around the tank is going to slowly get starved now of phosphates and nitrates and things like that, which they absorb to grow. And with that bit of rowaphos that we've put in there, wrapped up in that little bit of filter floss inside that sponge filter, that is now going to get to work, and as that water passes through it, it's going to be absorbing those nitrates, okay, and those phosphates out of the water, and getting rid of those little guys. So that's going to starve the tank. Everything's going to start getting a little bit clearer. I've also, which I didn't show you earlier, which I forgot to tell you, was I put a very, very small bag of carbon in the filter system as well, okay. And all I've done, I've just literally put a little bit of crushed carbon into a pair of tights or pantyhose, wherever you are in the world, whatever you call them, put them right down into the foot, make a little ball, tie it in a knot, chop it off with a pair of scissors, and you've got a neat little ball there of carbon, okay. And then you just drop that into the back. That's going to work fine. That's going to take all those colours out of the water, especially with soft corals, because they can produce chemicals into the water as well, which can inhibit the growth of hard corals as well. So things like that, discoloration in the water, it'll take that out and give you a beautiful crystal clear tank, and take all those horrible things out of the water. Any toxins that anything's releasing, it'll absorb those into it, okay. As you can see already, the pulsing xenia there has put off another little branch already since we've put him in. It was only that single head when we put it in, but it's already shooting off another little bit there, and it'll start to stick. Like I said, guys, this stuff can get out of control. The same with green star polyps as well. Now the reason I put it against the wall there, because I want it to grow up the wall. I want it to grow up the filter wall there, because that can look beautiful when that current comes around from the power head from up here and swirls around. You'll get a beautiful, like a grass field. It will look like, just blowing away in the wind. It will look really fantastic, it really will. And then I'll chop another piece off of there and I'll put it around the back, because I want to try and encase the whole lot in it if I can. Because I've done this before and it looks absolutely amazing once it's all colonised. It's like little fields all the way around, and it saves you doing anything else. And like I say, when it does get out of control, you can cut bits off, give some to your friends as well, and they can have a go. They can grow it over a rock. A lot of people tend to grow it just on a stone in the middle, so it tends to stay put. The same as zoas. A lot of people do that as well, because when they start to get going, they can quickly colonise a rock and smother it, which is fine if you've got lovely rasters or different things like bambams and stuff like that, because they are absolutely, they're the high-end corals. They don't tend to grow as quickly as the other different types, but when they get going, they can look absolutely phenomenal. And I've actually got a new batch of zoas, high-end zoas, coming in on Tuesday, so I'm going to film that one, I think, so I can do an unboxing video and show you what those guys look like. Really excited to get hold of those. And there's some really nice ones in there, some Super Marios and volcanoes and different things, and eagle eyes. So I'm looking forward to getting hold of those as well. Now, one thing about having a mixed mini reef like this is it can get a bit difficult. So I should say, if you're really first starting out, I would stick to the softer corals. The pulsing xenias, the recordias are fine as well. All the mushrooms are going to be fine. GSP's fine. Zoas are fine, and obviously the big gold finger corals fine as well, and the gorgonians. But obviously I've got a lot of experience in this game, so I've put in a few little bits of Monty and the Bacillopora as well, just as a little experiment. Like I said, because these lights aren't very strong, but I just want to see how they're going to get on. You can already see that piece of Monty there has gone a lighter brown colour. Now that's the coral actually taking in more of the zooxanthellae, which is in the water, which is the algae which they take the proteins from, sorry, the sugars from to actually feed themselves. Okay, so it's gone a little bit browner because the light isn't that strong. So if your corals do go brown, that's a good indication that your lights are too, or a little bit too weak, and they're creating more of that algae within the tissue to create more food. Okay, because they're not getting that sufficient food from the light which you've supplied them. So you can always swap it out for a higher light. A lot of people are doing that with these fluvals now. They're taking the lids off, they're putting on AI primes. There's various other little lights that you can put over the tops, the small Kessel lights, those little tuna blues, they're putting over the top of those as well. But by removing the lid, you're actually going to end up with a lot of condensation, obviously more evaporation in the tank, and you're going to be doing more top-ups. Then you've got to get into the lines of putting an auto top-up system in there as well to keep it up to level, otherwise your fluctuations in your parameters are going to go rocketing all over the place, and your stability is not going to be as good as it was. So what I'm doing, with this tank, I am just keeping this right, just as it is, out the factory, apart from, the little power head and the skimmer is the only addition which I've got in there. And I've upgraded the filtration slightly from the out of the box filtration that we get. So I just want to see how this pans out over the next year, and it will give us all a good indication then of what you can grow under these lights. And then maybe next year we can up our game. We can put another lighting system in there, up the lighting. We can put a nice little top-up system in there as well, which I'll show you how to rig up, which is super easy. And then we can automate it a little bit more. And I've decided, I think, what I'm going to put in this tank, after close chats with the wife, of course, is I'm going to put a pair of Banggai cardinals in there. I'm going to get a nice male and female Banggai cardinal, high fin one, because they are absolutely stunning fish. Now, I used to breed these many years ago, and they are stunning fish to watch. They're a mouth brooder, so they'll lay the eggs. The male will take the eggs into the mouth, and he will incubate them in his mouth over a certain period of time. And then when they hatch, they will actually spit them out into something. Now what I've got to do, I've been toying on the idea of maybe removing him, because he's got a lot bigger already since we've put him in there, and I might put something different in there, because what I intend to do is get one of the black spiny sea urchins and put that in there, because what the Banggai cardinals do is when their babies hatch, which are absolutely perfect little miniature replicas of the adults, they will spit them in between the spines of the long the long spined urchin, the black sea urchins that you get, and they will hide in amongst those so they don't get predated on in the wild. It's a natural instinct for them to do that, even if they're in a captive little space like this, and it's fantastic for them to watch. You can feed them on brine shrimps and watch them grow up. It's absolutely fabulous. So I'm going to get a nice large pair of those, and we can put just a nice pair in there and watch them breed. And hopefully I can get all that film for you, and so you can see all that happening. It's going to be fantastic. Anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough on this little video, guys. As always, you're all stars. Any questions, drop it in the comment section below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up and all that great stuff. Share it about as much as you want. And it's like I say, it's always your all stars. Love you loads. Take care, and I'll see you on the next episode of Mark's Aquatics. Bye for now. Just me and my guitar.